morning Facebook took down President Trump ads that related to symbols that the Nazis had used to designate political prisoners in concentration camps. A red inverted triangle, which was first used by the Nazis to identify communists, social democrats, liberals, Freemasons, and other members of opposition parties, was used in an ad by Donald Trump, also Vice President Pence, and the Team Trump page, and viewed in fewer than 24 hours by just under 1 million people. And so I wanted to allow Facebook to address this, but also what will you do with just the spread that's already out there with this hate symbol, and what sanctions will you take against the Trump campaign? Because this is not the first time an ad has been taken down. I believe it's the third time.
Thank you, Congressman. Yes, we don't allow symbols that represent hateful organizations or hateful ideologies unless they're put up with context or condemnation. You obviously want to be careful to allow someone to put up a symbol to condemn it or to discuss it. But in a situation where we don't see either of those, we don't allow it on the platform and we remove it. That's what we saw in this case with this ad, and anywhere that that symbol is used, we would take the same action. So we'll be consistent in enforcing wherever either our systems identify those symbols, and as you'd expect, when we identify something like this, we bank it within our system so that we can look for other instances of it where it might appear, so we can find it and remove it automatically. And also, if there's something we miss, because we certainly aren't perfect, if someone were to bring that to our attention, we would take action there as well if it's the same symbol.
How many symbols would a campaign have to run that are taken off the platform before the page is taken down? The campaign's account is taken down.
Congressman, my focus isn't on our ads policies. What I can tell you is if we see repeated instances of violations, repeated instances of misinformation, for example, we will take increasing actions. I don't have the details on the specific thresholds there. I'd be happy to have the team that is specifically working on this follow up with you.
Well, have accounts been taken down because of repeated efforts to put misinformation out there?
Congressman, I'd be happy to follow up with you for that specific detail.
Do you know the answer to it?
I don't know the answer to it off the top of my head.
Now, one of my fears is that in addition to the misinformation we see right now, that one of the most perilous times is going to be between Election Day and Inauguration Day. And I think the president, with his rhetoric in characterizing mail-in ballots as fraudulent and implying that undocumented Americans will be voting in the election, I believe that if the result does not go the way he wants, he is seeding what will be frivolous lawsuits and assaults on the election. And my fear is that all three of your platforms will be used not only by the president, but by outside meddlers to try and amplify discord and confusion in our country. And I just want to get a pledge from each of you as to what will you do if that is indeed the case, that we have a president who does not accept the result and is seeking to have, or is welcoming or not condemning outside interference that may try and amplify misinformation during what is supposed to be a peaceful transition of power. Mr. Pickles, start with you.
Well, there's two very important things. Firstly, our rules are global and our rules apply at all times. So irrespective of whether activity happens before Election Day or after Election Day, we will take action on any user that breaks our account, breaks our rules, and we'll take action on any fake accounts. We'll take action on foreign actors. We'll take action on domestic actors. And you have our absolute commitment that we will enforce our rules impartially around the world between now, Inauguration Day, and beyond.
Thank you. And Mr. Salgado?
Same is true with Google. We're committed to enforcing our policies. We will continue to improve those policies and the enforcement, but the commitment to do so remains.
Thank you. And Mr. Gleischer?
Congressman, we will continue to enforce our policies consistently around the world and at any time. I would add, I think you highlight a really important point. We have teams that are running red team exercises and threat ideations within the company and with colleagues outside the company to ask when are the periods of greatest risk, what are the most likely threats. And we've always known that the period after the election is a critical one. there are some particular characteristics with this election, given that we expect an increase, for example, in vote by mail ballots. That's important so that people can engage in a time like this. It takes time to count vote by mail ballots. So there may be periods of uncertainty after the election when work will be especially critical. So what I would say is we are focused on the time after the election with just as much laser focus as the time immediately before.
Well, I'm afraid a storm is coming, and we really need you all to be ready. And with that, Chairman, I'll yield back.